this whole preconception that people like animals are good people. And I just look at the big mustache man from the 40s. I'm not going to say his name. Yeah. I think it doesn't not worth to be referred in this conversation. He was a pet lover. Okay, and among the same crowd, if I'm not mistaken, the dictator of Venezuela, he also loves animals. And he's, I'm not moving to Venezuela because of that. So I think no one, even though I have a mustache now, someone will go there. He also has a mustache, So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about whether being a pet lover makes you a good person or not. And I tend to think that some people use pets just to show an image of who they are not, it's a virtuous thing, a kind of thing. And I think that's pretty sad. When you use a being, for your cause, I mean, just. Stereotypes is something that people don't like to admit that they exist because you live in a very much PC world, and stereotypes looks like generalizations and trying to think that certain groups are they all look alike. And I kind of disagree with that, because I think stereotypes, they come out of something. That's why they exist. They're not always valid, but they're not coming from thin air. Okay, so they do have a reason, although they are not always right. That's what I would say. Now, the writer stereotypes that I think are more acknowledged by humanity. One is that writers are bohemians. Second is that writers are shy, and you can also make the case that some of them are a bit nerdish. I start to do Marie on this. Do you think these labels are still somehow true today, or did they change over time?
I think everything is a bit more lax now, following, the culture and society and everything. But I would say 100% there are stereotypes, and that, I reckon it will be a while before they get to a level where they don't matter as much, or they're not as easily found. Like, your nationality, your gender, what you do for a living, whether you are a family person or not, whether you're a pet person or not. And you see that even in things that you wouldn't think it would matter as much, like writing. I mean, imagine if a very well-published writer goes on and says, I hate pets, I would never have a pet. There are some people that are going to take offense in that, and they're going to start calling them names, and they might, stop purchasing their works, because there is this stereotype of, people who don't like animals are bad people. But there is a distinction between, I absolutely hate animals, I'd kick them if I saw them, and I don't think I could, I have the willpower that it takes to have a pet, for example. So I think a lot of that is very PC, as you said. It's like sometimes you feel you cannot really express your opinion because people will go to the extremes. And I feel when it comes to writing as well, especially if you want to, share it with the world, sometimes I think, what if I say something that is true for me, and I'm not an extremes person, but someone might misunderstand it, and then they might try to, or subconsciously see that in my work, and they might think that I'm like this or like that. But yeah, while still what I write is very personal to me, I would hate it for someone to think that I am a certain way or another because they're owed something that they might disagree with, or push me at a very specific position because I said something like that. And it is something that I like to play with, like what my characters say or what they think, because in a book, especially in fantasy or fiction, you can't have everyone saying the same thing or believing the same thing. And sometimes for the story, you want to find someone who's, for example, extremely religious, for example, or extremely superstitious. And this is not always your opinion. Or you're not making fun of superstitious people by taking a superstitious person and playing them to the extreme. But I don't know. I would not like to think that we have to dilute the writing so much that no one could get offense in it, because then you're left with a very, very boring piece that doesn't really say anything. It doesn't raise questions. It doesn't make you think. Even this debate, like some of the best conversations I think we've all had is over a movie that we watched or a book that we read, because someone, or a video game, for example. This very recently happened to me. I played this video game and had two endings, and we were arguing over, is this ending better or is that ending better? It creates a conversation, it creates a discussion. So yeah, I think, and I don't know, sometimes I think it would be very hard to find a person that does not believe in even one stereotype. But I think if we're aware that this is something that I believe it's not right for this reason or the other, and try to not let us affect what we write or what we read, I think that's a step, I don't know, towards the right direction.
Yeah, I mean, you mentioned one thing that I mean we shouldn't let it go. Like this whole preconception that people like animals are good people. And I just look at the big mustache man from the parties. I'm not going to say his name.
Yeah.
But I think it doesn't not worth to be referred in this conversation. He was a pet lover. Okay, and among the same crowd, if I'm not mistaken, you know, the dictator of Venezuela, he also loves animals. And he's, you know, I'm not moving to Venezuela because of that. You know? So I think no one, even though I have a mustache now, you know, someone will go there. He also has a mustache, you know. So yeah, I think there's a lot to be said about whether being a pet lover makes you a good person or not. And I tend to think that some people use pets just to show an image of who they are not, you know, it's a virtuous thing, a kind of thing. And I think that's pretty sad. When you use a being, you know, for your cause, I mean, just show up and present your true colors. And, you know, poor pet being, you know, an object of, you know, of your marketing. I think that's appalling. I think the cats and dogs and birds and rabbits deserve way better usage than, you know, than those endeavors. Now, I would say in terms of stereotypes, because one thing that I wouldn't say is undisputable, but we can make the case that it has to be true in some shape or form. All writers are introspective people. Otherwise, we wouldn't sit and write, because there's this whole exercise of